Polls for the 2024 election showed Trump and Harris in a dead heat for the presidency, but the actual results not coming in as close as expected.
Yeah, out of the 7 battleground states is what we're primarily talking about here. CBS News projected Donald Trump as the winner in Georgia, North Carolina, and Pennsylvania. But votes are still being counted in Arizona, Nevada, and Michigan, but they are leaning to the right. Joining us live in studio to help us understand the results is Isaac Hale. He's a professor at politics at Occidental College. Thank you so much for being here this morning. I find it interesting when you look at the numbers that came in. We just said that it wasn't as close as they said it was going to be. If you look in the nitty gritty in those swing states, Donald Trump gained in almost every demographic that he was going after. What does this say? And if you're the Harris campaign, did you go in a little too confident?
Yeah, I mean, I think, as you pointed out, Trump gained across the board. This is, a secular gain across demographic groups. Notably, Trump did substantially better among working class voters than he did 4 years ago.
It feels like 40 years
ago.
It
does sometimes feel like 4 years ago. There was a big theory of the case that Harris's strength with women, especially fueled by the Dobbs decision, was going to be enough to carry her over the finish line. And I think, to tell you the truth, we probably would have seen a larger shift among women towards Trump if it weren't for the Dobbs decision. But in the end, ultimately, the dead weight of low approval of Joe Biden, the incumbent Democratic president, as well as voters' pessimism about the state of the economy, was just too much for Kamala Harris to overcome.
Yeah, when you talk about messaging, maybe that campaign did take that for granted, that they would get the women's vote, that would be enough, that there would maybe be some silent women in the same way that there were silent Trump voters the last couple of cycles. He largely ran on retribution. She largely ran on hope, an Obama message. What do you think of the messaging? Clearly, it didn't work for her.
And I think the Harris campaign had probably good reason to believe this. If you look in 2022, the polls in that midterm election actually underestimated the Democratic Party's performance, and we saw a major backlash to the Dobbs ruling in that case. But in this case, I think you saw that again, Joe Biden is an unpopular incumbent Democratic president. An overwhelming percentage of the country thinks that we're on the wrong track as a nation. Sentiment about the economy is low, and only 39% of voters approve of the job Joe Biden is doing as president. And Harris, when asked, struggled to define herself in a way that was different from the Biden administration, struggled to say what she would do differently. And I think this was just an existential problem in the campaign, and likely would have been an existential problem for other potential Democratic candidates as well.
I've also seen some Democratic supporters come out this morning, especially on social media, saying that the Democratic Party has not done itself any favors, even though Biden did win last time. But over the last several years, when you look at some, of these groups of people that Trump has been able to gain in terms of messaging when it comes to the economy, really digging into what matters to people and being able to give specifics on what the Democratic Party is going to do. Have they taken some of these groups just for granted?
I think this is a real existential question for the Democratic Party. Note, for instance, that Trump won the state of Missouri by about 19 points last night. At the same time, measures to raise the minimum wage, to create paid sick leave, to enshrine abortion rights in that state all passed. What does this say? Many of the policy priorities that Democrats favor are in fact popular with voters, but the Democratic Party brand is not. Democrats are much less popular than their policy ideas. And this suggests that, one, maybe Democrats have a communication issue. Two, maybe they have an image issue. And this raises some questions about what the party is. Recall that with the New Deal coalition, FDR's Democratic Party, Democrats controlled the House of Representatives for nearly 40 years. It's hard to imagine now, but that's not the Democratic Party of today, and there's going to be a lot of infighting going forward about what the Democratic Party should look like now.
Yeah, not just fighting between the two parties, but within the party itself.
Some soul searching within the Democratic Party. Professor Hale, thank you for being with us.